I genuinely just feel so sad and so bad for those people who are mean, who hurt others, who do wrong for others. And guys, I just came back from work, okay, and it's time for a rant because it's actually quite a bit of a drive for me to get home from work. It usually takes me half an hour, sometimes longer depending on traffic. And I had this whole process because something happened at work where I was the recipient of someone being an ass, a total ass, not a donkey, okay, just being a very mean person. And I was looking at them, and I'm going to share with you the story what happened, but I was looking at this person and I was like, there's just no way they're happy. There's no way this person that's manipulating and hurting others and profiting at the expense of other people is happy. Their face was not happy. They were like blocked, missing a piece of their humanity. So if you guys don't know, at the moment I dance at a club, and what happens is that the way that this works, like you dance for people, you dance for guys or customers, sometimes girls, actually couples, or you do private rooms. Anyway, so I'm sitting next to this guy. I go, I say, hi, do you want some company? He's like, yeah. And I'm sitting there and there's two guys. They're both friends. They're there together, and the other guy apparently is in charge of everything, and there are two girls next to him, and there's me next to this guy, and we're talking, and apparently those two girls, they were trying to sell a private room. And I'm like, okay, so they're gonna go with that guy and I'm gonna go to the guy that I'm talking. That's usually how that works. And this is what they were telling too. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna talk to this guy and we're all gonna go to a private room. And so basically what ends up happening is that those two girls talking to their guy, hey guys, this is me on another day. When I was editing this video, I just want to clarify something. So it's totally possible that the way I interpreted the situation is wrong, and these girls didn't do anything wrong. It's possible that this is just the way that it happened. Maybe the guys were the ones that were actually pretending, or it just didn't happen that way. So I don't have any evidence that this is actually the way things unfolded. It's just the way I interpreted the situation. I do 1000% feel like not even posting this video anymore, but I will share it because I want you to hear still the insights and the lessons, and I share more towards the end of this video some of the other things that happened. And so enjoy the video. Basically what ends up happening is that those two girls talking to their guy, telling me, and apparently there is this another girl that came over. She was like, this guy told her to come back, so now it's me and this other girl with one guy, and we're all sitting here and we're being all told that we're gonna basically make money. What ends up happening is that those two girls kept telling me, yeah, we're all gonna go to a room. All the while they were actually talking only about them going. They were completely excluding me and this other girl next to me. And then they ended up saying that, like, oh, by the way, just wait here, hang on, we will be right back, we're all gonna go to a room. They ended up going to a manager to get only themselves and that guy and the guy's friend to a room, completely excluding and wasting basically an hour for me and this other girl, because we spent good 40 minutes talking to this guy. Now, working night shifts, your time is valuable. If you only work nights, some nights I only work 3-4 hours. I have worked as much as 8 hours almost, but on the nights that the club closes at 2 a.m., you're literally only working like 4 or 5 hours, sometimes 3 hours, and an hour of your time, especially after midnight, is valuable. So these two girls completely lied, basically wasted my entire time for an hour, and as well as the other girls. But when I saw them all walking to a room, by the way, by that point I made enough money just doing dances, so I was like, I don't even care if I do a room at this point, I'm good. But when I saw them walking, their faces, they were just so sad. Like, they were so mean and expressionless and like hurt, and I saw a part of me in that. And Also, I am actually on the side of the girls because I understand that sometimes life makes you do things that you have to do. So this job kind of just makes you become more savage, whether or not you want it, because if you want to make it, sometimes you have to be more savage. And I cannot imagine, like, even for me, I'm on my own and I'm still literally struggling to make my rent, just because I was sick for a week or two and it's been cold. And like, I cannot imagine if someone has kids and other stuff, like how they make it. So some nights literally make you question why you even do this job, because if you do this job, at least like get me paid. So I understand that sometimes like you have to become savage. So I have nothing against these people, I have nothing against them, you know. And I talked to this other girl too, this is what happened, and she said, yeah, in this environment you have to look out for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, you have to look out for yourself, but not at expense of this. And I realized too that I just feel bad for them. I feel sad because I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what they need. I don't know, maybe they're desperate. Maybe they have some life circumstances where they need the money. And it's causing them to manipulate. But I just felt so sad because there's no way they're happy. Sometimes it's just the way I interpreted the situation. I have no actual proof that this is what happened. I have no actual proof for the fact that they were doing this. It's just my interpretation, as well as my general conclusion based on observation and speaking to other people based on what has occurred in the past and the situations that has occurred to other girls in the past that are similar to mine. In a way, again, nothing against these people, it's just my interpretation. There's no way these people that are cut off from life, they're cut off, it was like their hearts are closed. There's just no way that they are actually fully living life and enjoying it. And even if they do make that money, I was driving home thinking that I hope it at least makes them happy, because they don't look happy. And I know those girls that did a room that did this, I was actually really curious because I know them I see them doing rooms all the time, and I was like, how did they do this? How did they sell so well? I was like, I'm curious, I want to learn how they do that, because most of my money I make money on dances for the most part. And I was like, how do they sell private rooms so well? Well, I learned it's not always good. In my head, they were doing it in a way that's kind. They were doing it in a way that's right and good, because that's the way that I prefer to work. I prefer to be honest with people. I prefer to tell them straight up, this is what you can expect, this is what you're getting, this is what you're not getting. But it turns out that a lot of these people, they make their money by lying and manipulating, and sometimes at the expense of other people. And once I learned that, I was like, okay, I'm no longer interested in knowing any more of how they work, because that's just not what I want to do. By the way, I know for a while also, videos that I've made too, I was talking about being mean, quote unquote, and putting yourself first and prioritizing yourself. And while that is important, very important. By the way, if you guys are confused about my hair color, the ponytail is fake. I am still going to be wearing it because that is the intention of where my hair is going color-wise. But this is what I'm working with, okay? So I was also talking about putting yourself first, people pleasing God and not people. And of course, it's still true. I still believe in putting yourself first. I still believe in, not people pleasing, but still not doing it at the expense or intentionally hurting others. And sometimes people that are narcissistic, they fling to that side where they sometimes benefit at the expense of others. But those people are not happy. And I was almost like, I don't want to say praying, but I was just like, I hope that these people find happiness. If that money makes them happy, because they didn't even look alive. They just looked like a piece of them, a piece of their heart was gone. They were blocked, they were closed. And, I still do believe in putting yourself first. And sometimes when you put yourself first, you do appear mean. And again, I don't know what these people are going through. I don't know what caused them to behave this way. I don't know what other things they have done. I have heard stories, other people telling me things, like some girls literally lie. and then they don't deliver. So again, everything goes on everywhere. Of course, I believe still that money is energy and karma is real, and everything comes back to you. So I still very much believe in that. So for me personally, sometimes you want to be kind and honest to people for your own sake, okay? Not even just for your own sake, because karma is real, energy is real. And another thing I realized is sometimes when I say people please God, which by the way, my center quote for my life now is please God, not people. People are God in a way. I realize this. God is everything, everywhere. But it speaks to you through your feelings, right? So it's very delicate balance. And of course, there's no right or wrong way to do anything. But one thing I will say, if you ever did have an experience with someone wronging you, or if you encountered like narcissistic people or people who are unkind or use you or manipulate you, again, an hour of my time at work is quite expensive. It's not cheap, okay? Especially after midnight. So, but for me, I made enough to where like I don't even care at this point. It's fine. But if you ever meet people who do that, just remember that they're not happy. They're doing this because they believe whatever they're doing will somehow rectify and justify and maybe make them feel better, because sometimes hurt people hurt people. People who are happy don't hurt others. I was thinking too that like probably they're behaving this way because of their scarcity, because they're maybe in survival mode, right? But people who potentially have more money, they're not in survival mode, it makes you better. Having money, being like abundant, makes you a better person. It makes me a better person. I know that much for sure, because then you can open up, you can give. So people sometimes also who do this, it's because they're not happy. They're living in lack. They're living in survival. And of course, I can't judge them because I don't know their life story. And I think they just believe that this will make them happy. But it's not that it makes them happy. I think it's just a wounded part of them that's trying to heal, that's behaving this way. Or maybe, again, I don't know their physical circumstances. So sometimes life does test you, and it does put you to situations where, and I think I've been also put in this situation where you're given an option. Which path are you going to choose? Are you going to give up yourself for material things, for survival? Are you going to give up your soul? Or are you going to keep your soul intact? And I think I was also given a wake-up call, because sometimes when you are in survival, it's easy to shut off. It's easy to shut your heart off, because it's almost like easier to not feel the hurt that you actually feel. And I think that's the reason that a lot of these people that are like narcissistic or whatever behave this way. I think also for a while I was kind of this way because I tend to be nice to people. It's a problem, okay? And sometimes to heal that, I feel like I have swung to the other side, not necessarily to where I was mean to people, but to where I completely just shut off this part of me that cares. And I feel like this sounds maybe bad, and it's not that I don't care about people, but sometimes you kind of have to, you just have to not care to learn to love yourself. But again, this doesn't mean you're mean to people. It just means that sometimes if someone's offended by your truth, or if they don't like the fact that you set boundaries, or if they don't respect you, that's the only times that you quote unquote become mean, because you love yourself enough to stand up for yourself and to not take bad treatment, right? But it just sometimes it gets so confusing, because sometimes that can be interpreted in so many different ways, and especially on the internet with making videos, it's hard to get 1,000% across exactly what I mean. Even a video that I made, which I feel like I don't even want to share anymore, because in that video I talked about how a huge loss with trading profits has led me to realize that I need to set boundaries, I need to not care about what people think. But it actually made me swing to that side where I really had to shut off my emotions to not care, right? And it's like, I don't believe in that anymore. And I'm not sure if at this point recording this I have or have not shared this video, but basically the main lesson in that was just that you want to make sure you're trusting yourself, you're trusting your own gut, you're trusting your feelings, you have solid boundaries, you're putting yourself first. Yes to all of it. You're people pleasing God. Yes. However, God is also in every other person. So you want to make sure that you're kind in the process, but you're not people pleasing. So it's a balance. I feel like those girls today, they could have, I literally just got home from work. Okay, it's currently 2 to 2. Okay, my oven says 2 to 2 a.m. So another 2 a.m. video. Those two girls could have just told me, listen, we're only working to get ourselves into a room, but we're excluding, like, you're not gonna get it, so like, don't waste your time. They could have just told me that. And me and this other girl as well, I was actually there even longer. She came later, because sometimes, like, if a girl sits with a guy, she gets called to go on stage, then the guy is free, someone else comes over, and then the girl, when she's done with stage, which can sometimes be like 6 songs, 4 to 6 songs, 3 to 6 songs, depending on the rotation and the nighttime, which can be quite a bit of time. One song can be 3-5 minutes. Sometimes they run long. I don't know, DJs are doing DJ things. But so she came later. So those two could have just said, hey, listen, we're only working to get ourselves 2 girls into a room. Don't worry, don't waste your time. Like, don't just, anyways, point is, I learned from this, and I'm grateful for this experience, because I got to see when they were all walking towards the room, like, those 2 girls wouldn't even acknowledge me. Like, I was sitting and they wouldn't even look my way. They had this like straight focused face, and like, I get it. And also, I just feel sad for them, and I hope that they're happy, whatever that happiness is for them, because ultimately that's all we want. We all want to be happy. We all just want to find happiness and love in this world. That's all everyone ever wants. It's just that we go after it in different ways. It's just that for them, that was the path that they believe they have to take to be happy. That's all everyone wants, happiness and love. And sometimes people have misconstrued definitions of what will make them happy. And maybe they believe they are, right? Maybe they believe, maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's the experience that their souls signed up to have in this life. And I think if that's what it is, then I just hope that they get out of it whatever they need to get out of it. And I still do believe in karma very heavily. For me, for example, like, I just wouldn't feel right taking from someone if they don't want to give, or if I have to lie. Like, I don't feel right about it. Even this one guy I was dancing for, he paid for 3 songs. I did 2 songs with him. I still have 1 more song left, but I got called on stage, and I said, listen, I'm gonna come back because he already paid for it. I said, I'm gonna do that song after I'm done with stage. Now again, some other girls, one girl even told me, she's like, girl, I would have just pretended I forgot. But I ended up going back to him and giving him that song, even though, like, technically I could have just, like, forgotten and disappeared. But like, I can't do that. It's just like, I just feel morally wrong. I do this for me, not because I have to be a good person, but because I understand that I could not feel right about myself if someone paid me for 3 songs and I like didn't deliver fully. Like, I just wouldn't feel right. So that's a me thing. One girl, literally, I shared this with her, and she said she said she would have just gone off stage and not given the dance. And I'm like, well, that's your choice. Okay, you live your life. But I couldn't live my life feeling like I ripped someone off, or, like, I just, whatever. The point is, I really want to have this rant. It's been a while since I've had an inspiration to record a video, like a genuine inspiration. I've been waiting for these inspired moments to create instead of forcing content, which the video I've made before. Again, I don't know if I've shared this at this point. I kind of forced content because it was something that I felt like I should talk about. So anyways, technically I actually recorded that video today. So it's my second video today. This is how it goes, guys. I will not record for a week or two, and then I will just record 2 videos in a day. Universe works in mysterious ways. Ultimately, forgiveness is about you. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about freeing yourself. It's about freeing yourself, essentially. Like, me being mad at them doesn't do nothing. If I'm mad, what does it do? Nothing. It doesn't do nothing. It doesn't change them. People don't change. Like, I also went through this period where I would actually try to correct people's behavior by, if they did something wrong or bad for me, I would express it, and I would be very verbal about it. Some guys, this one person literally didn't pay me enough. Like, it was a Saturday. I hate working Saturdays. I worked a couple, and I was like, nah, you will not see me there on a Saturday. Nah. Not gonna happen. Everyone's drunk, everyone's losing their phones, they're sitting there like not understanding what's happening, and some people like didn't even pay me. He owed me a few $100s, like $300, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll pay you, and he owes me $300, and I tell him like, yeah, this is what it is, like you said you're gonna pay. He's like, oh yeah, no, actually I'm not paying you that, I'm not even gonna give you nothing. I'm like, okay, well, like, what do you even have? Like, he had $70 in his wallet. And he's like drunk, he's like showing me. And at that point, I took the money from him. I'm like, listen, this is what you have. You still owe me money. He had friends. His friends also didn't want to pay for it, which sometimes, like, it happens a lot that the friends will pay. It happened today, like the friend pay for a friend. Like, it just happens all the time. These friends were butt heads. This guy was drunk, didn't pay me. And so it was a Saturday. I forgot why I was even sharing this. The point is that before, when this happened, I was actually mad at him, and he told me that his life was not good, not happy, and he's like, oh, you really made me feel better. You gave me like a sense of like, because he felt bad that he retired and his life doesn't make sense. And I was like, listen, been there, I get it, life doesn't make sense, you know. And I felt like I just gave a lot of energy to him, and he's like, oh, you really made me feel better, you made my night. And I was like so mad at the end. He took all of my nerves. And I said to him, like, listen, your life is a mess because you're an asshole and you deserve it. Because I thought by expressing myself, I would feel better. And you know what? In the moment, it gave me a sense of, like, oh yeah, I told him off. But that doesn't change him. That doesn't change his life. That only devalues me and my own sense of morality and the kind of way I prefer to show up. And I'm like, you know what, that's just not the kind of person I want to be. That's not the way I prefer to operate. Everything serves a purpose, everything happens the way it needs to be, and if this person behaved this way towards me, I trust that the money will come back to me tenfold in some other ways. Still waiting for that day for money to come back tenfold in some other ways. Well, actually, I did get money in some other ways. Usually if someone doesn't pay me, this one guy didn't pay me $20 short. I didn't count the money. Sometimes I just trust that people count their money, and I didn't count it that day, and I realized when I got home, he didn't pay me $20 because I sometimes like have it in a stack. Actually, that was all the money I made was from one guy. And he didn't pay me enough. I was like, oh, well, wow, okay. I was like, money's gonna come back to me. The next day I go, someone just gives me a 20 for no reason. Just for no reason. I'm on stage, he just hands me a 20. I'm like, thank you. So it comes back to you in some other ways. So you don't have to worry about it because universe has justice. It will always come back to you in some way. So I feel like that's a better perspective to have. Or sometimes we think that power is in this feeling of, oh, I'm superior, I'm gonna tell you off, I'm gonna dominate you. But I don't think that's true power. My understanding of true power now is I feel even more powerful when I can forgive this person. I can say they're behaving this way because they're hurt. I don't know what's happening in their life, and I just hope that they're healed. And I trust that whatever I was missed out on will come back to me many times over in some other way, because universe has justice, and justice is served in some way. And I just think that's a much more preferable way for me to operate, that I only realized today, because I think, again, I had to go through my process, right? Which is why I'm saying that, like, I have an understanding that sometimes people go through their process. I feel like I'm not even speaking coherently right now because I'm tired. But I had to go through my own process of expressing myself in that way because it made me feel like I can express when I'm unhappy with something. I can voice it when someone treats me unwell. If someone doesn't treat me well, I can express it and be verbal about it. And I felt this is good for me. But now I feel like, you know what? I don't even have to fight you for it. There's no, it doesn't, I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm not going to waste my nerves. I don't deserve it. Didn't earn it. My nerves and my energy is expensive. I'm not even going to pay attention to it. That's the boss vibes. The boss vibes is you're not even important enough for me to pay attention because I know everything is working out for me. It's going to come back to me many times over. I care why. That's the boss vibes. My opinion now, again, I went through that phase as well, so I get it. Each phase is valid. Each phase can teach us something. It can serve a purpose, and it can help heal us in some ways. Okay, so I hope that this video was helpful. I hope you got something out of this. I'm gonna go shower, have my tea, and